Hi, I'm Todd Hoppock. In this presentation, Josh Salmans and I will talk about fundraising and grant writing. Some fundraising methods are more traditional, such as an annual appeal by mail. An event, such as an annual gala or an author lecture, can raise funds directly or pull in potential donors for later gifts. Your friends group can hold book sales, and friends are great advocates for your budget with local elected officials. Online giving through your website is a must. Crowdfunding can help with specific needs, and social media can help create buzz. A foundation can be formed for long-term funding goals, and your board of trustees can advocate and help lead you to major donors, one of your most important funding sources. Finally, while finding and applying for grants has a learning curve, grants can be a great way to fund specific projects and initiatives. Josh will talk to you later about how to find and apply for grants. Fundraising requires some investment of time and money. Some fundraising methods are more effective than others. But there may be additional payoffs that aren't immediately evident. Anything that connects potential donors with the library can pay dividends later. Here you see the potential cost per dollar raised for several common fundraising methods. Note, product sales are things like bake sales, wrapping paper, candy bar sales, the type of fundraisers that children often do for their school or sports team. You must have policies and procedures in place to handle gifts. Keep good records of the donors and the amounts. Send a formal letter of acknowledgement right away that the donor can use for tax purposes. Tell the story of what the donor's money has made possible. I once worked at an academic library that supported an art college curriculum where my director would select a large format art book with a price that matched the donation. We would acknowledge the donor on a book plate and include the title in the acknowledgement letter. At the South Carolina Library, where donations and dues to the Society are used to buy manuscripts and other collection items, each individual member's contributions are recorded as an accrual over time until a purchase is attributed to his or her contributions in the published annual report of gifts. Both of these methods connect the donor to how their funds are used. But do not allow your donors to pick the books. Collection development should be left to the librarians. Always collect contact information and use that to send invitations to events, direct mail solicitations, or other future appeals. And remind your donors to check to see if their employers provide matching gifts. Events don't have to be immediate money makers. Even a ticketed event may do little more than break even. But events can raise the profile of your library and bring new donors to the table. And planning and hosting an event can help bring your staff, volunteers, friends, and board members together to work on a single project, thereby keeping them involved. Online payments are becoming the norm. While we perceive that younger folks expect online convenience, I believe everyone, regardless of age, now expects to be able to pay online. And online donations make it much easier to find first-time donors who may become repeat donors in the future. Make it as easy as possible for people to donate to you online. Don't bury your link to donate. Place a donation button prominently on your landing page. Make sure the electronic donation form is easy to use, and be sure that people can donate using a tablet or a mobile device. Collect contact information so you can solicit each donor in the future, and make it possible to donate in honor or in memory of someone. Keep your look and your branding consistent across different platforms, from Facebook to your website to your giving page, to maintain trust and a professional look. Keep your website and social media presence fresh with new photos and new posts. Look for hooks that make your campaign more interesting, so maybe your campaign will go viral, or at least get some shares. Tell a compelling story about why you need the money, and avoid the same old boilerplate. Do you need books for your children's collection? Highlight a child reading. Need to fix the leaky roof? Then show librarians holding umbrellas over books. Look for a major donor who is willing to match gifts for an online campaign, so your donors will see their impact doubled. And, provided they don't mind, thank your donors by name in social media, even while the donations are still rolling in. On crowdfunding sites such as GoFundMe, Kickstarter, and Indiegogo, standing out from the crowd is essential. You need to explain very simply and quickly what your project is and why it is important. A recent search of the keyword library on these 3 sites showed many projects to build little free libraries, many school media centers trying to put books on their shelves and teachers trying to put books in their classrooms, some projects to fund libraries in developing countries, and a few public library projects. One on GoFundMe was trying to replace a broken microfilm reader, and another sought to replace outdated furniture. There were 1 or 2 Save Our Local Library campaigns. And one successful Indiegogo campaign sought to close a relatively modest gap on top of funds secured offline to open a new branch library in a vacant building. Kickstarter and GoFundMe keep 5% of what you raise, while Indiegogo will waive the fee for a cause such as a nonprofit. Donors typically pay an additional 3% to the payment processor. I recommend researching crowdfunding sites before picking the one that seems best for your project. Perhaps start by looking for projects similar to yours and see how successful they have been. Giving tribute or memorial gifts is important to many donors, and these gifts are a good way to receive extra donations from people who already gave during the annual campaign. You must thank the donor and let the person honored or the family of the deceased know about the donor's gift. But don't tell how much the gift was. You will need to ask on the giving form for the name and address of the person or persons who should be informed of the gift. You might not know the person honored or who the next of kin are. And make it just as easy for the donor to give a memorial or tribute gift as it is to give a simple donation, whether with a paper form or online. Friends of the library groups are great resources for funds and volunteers. They tend to focus on smaller goals, and many have consistent roles they play annually, such as supporting specific operations or contributing to the book budget. Also, most libraries are prohibited from selling their books, but the Friends group can sell the books and donate the proceeds to the library. Friends groups are very important for demonstrating local support for the library to government officials at budget time. Foundations tend to work towards bigger projects and fundraising goals. It is the foundation which may build an endowment. Endowments are important for ongoing funding. It is an investment account from which a small portion, ideally less than the account's annual gain, can be taken each year for purposes such as collection development. Foundation members tend to be wealthier, prominent members of the community who can help bring in larger gifts and influence local leaders. The Board of Trustees holds the library director accountable. Ideally, your board should be made up of well-connected, influential, wealthy citizens from all areas of the community. Larger boards can often better represent all groups. Board members do not necessarily need to be book lovers themselves, and whether they use the library isn't that important, but they must see the library's value to the community and be dedicated to maintaining and increasing that value. Major gifts may be your most important source of funds outside of taxes. You need to identify your most likely supporters. They are your past supporters, those who look like your past supporters, and leads from your supporters. Pay attention to your current donors, know their interests, and reach out to them to keep them involved in the library so that they continue to be current supporters. You should also be prepared to do prospect research. Librarians make great prospect researchers. Prospect research is finding out all you can from public sources to build a prospect profile. You want to gauge the potential donor's likely level of interest in your project, how much money they might be able to give, and how they might like to be thanked when they do give. Build prospect profiles not only for new prospects, but for current donors who you think might have more capacity. Hammerman and King's articles do a great job explaining how to find publicly available information. Even though you are collecting public information, putting it all together makes it more valuable and more dangerous to the donor, so respect your donors by keeping private the information you collect. There is actually a formula for estimating giving capacity. If you've been able to find values for the items listed here, you can estimate net worth. Giving capacity is then 2 to 5% of net worth.